Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Shamrika, you want to?
Good morning.
Everybody to.
Good morning. May I have your attention, please? If you have not already done so, please sign in and use this time to silence all cell phones. Thank you.
This meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is being held at the office of the Louisiana Tax Commission, located 1051 North 3rd Street, Suite 225, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The date is Wednesday, April 26, 2023. The time is 10:03 a.m. May I have a roll call?
Chairman Shahardi, Commissioner Potier,
Here.
Commissioner Jeffers,
Here.
Commissioner Vercher,
Here.
Commissioner Wood. 3 present and a quorum.
Do you have any old business? Okay, I'm gonna move on to item number 4, approval of minutes. I would move that we defer the April 19th, 2023 minutes to the next meeting. Any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion's approved. We're gonna move to item number 5, change orders.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 407 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 375, place 31 in pending status and deny 1. Reason for rejection: 1 in Terrebonne Parish for not providing an occupancy date when applying a HEX. I'm sorry. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the staff recommendations to approve 375 change orders, place 31 in pending status, and deny 1 for the reason given.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion's approved. Next item, prior pending change orders.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 37 prior pending change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 18 and keep 19 remaining in pending status. Staff requests approval of the prior pending change orders.
Motion.
Chairman, I move that we approve 18 prior pending change orders and place 19 in, keep 19 in pending status based on staff recommendation.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, motion's approved. Next item, tax sale cancellations.
Chandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 1 tax sale cancellations in St. Tammany Parish due to being duly assessed. Staff is requesting approval of 1 tax sale cancellation.
Chairman, I move approval of 1 tax sale cancellation in St. Tammany Parish based on staff's recommendation.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion's approved. Next item on the agenda is, are the appeals. At this time, I'd ask anybody that, plans on testifying to come forward. Mr. Hoffman's gonna, swear you in.
You have members before, Minister knows I'll do all, one time, we're going to testify. I'll indicate to you to affirm the oath, and I'll ask you to take the oath. You testify? Please raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're going to give the truth, the whole truth, and the truth, so help you God.
Russell Armour, is that you?
Isaac Jonas, I do. Matthew Kavechka, I do. Thank you.
All right, appraisers, raise your right hand. I'll indicate to you individually to affirm the oath. Do you swear or affirm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Patrick?
Patrick Matthew, I do.
Tanya?
Tanya Butler, I do.
George?
George Wallace, I do.
Reed?
Reed Huval, I do.
Thank you.
Hey, Russell, we're gonna take the appeals in order as they're shown on the agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the first item, we're gonna go ahead and, hear, appeal number one on the agenda is A, appeal of 408 Magazine versus the assessor, Errol Williams, Orlean Parish. Mr. Alvarez, you're here to represent the, assessor's office.
Yes, sir.
Um, have you heard from the taxpayer? Do we know if the taxpayer is coming?
I have not heard from the taxpayer. I contacted the taxpayer to initiate a settlement agreement with the taxpayer, but I have not been able to hear from them, and they have not returned my phone call. Our initial valuation, let me grab my glasses, Paul. Our initial valuation was, 931,500. It was lowered by the board review to 891,500. The tax commission performed an appraisal for 745. And our own, our own revised appraisal supports that value. We called the taxpayer to try to settle at the staff's, appraisal value, but we were not able to get in contact with them. That is the value that the assessor's office is actually, praying for.
So if I'm hearing you correct, you're okay with, Miss Butler's appraisal?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna hear from her and then we'll make a ruling.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Butler?
Tanya Butler for the Louisiana Tax Commission. I appraised the property located at 412 Magazine Street. I arrived at a total value of 745,000 with 130,700 for land and 614,300 for improvements.
Does anyone have any questions? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move on docket number 22-22171-008 that we set the fair market value at 745,000, with land being set at a value of $130,700 and improvements set at a value of $614,300. Is also the value that the assessor is asking for.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, motion's approved. Excuse me, the next item is the appeal of Eric Vargas versus Assessor Earl Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 22-22171-009.
Yes, sir. We, tried to contact the taxpayer to, come to some agreement with the, taxpayer. The initial value was 840,000, which is supported by staff's appraisal and the, revised, appraisal that our office did. However, the assessor's office was just requesting that the, commission uphold the board review's value, 804,900.
Based on the information I'm looking at, we, we have a staff appraisal at $840,000. Your office, value at $840,000.
Yes, sir.
And a board of review that upheld your value. Actually, I think the board of review was a little less than your value.
Yes, sir. It's a
Okay,
little
and you're
less.
And you're okay with the board of review value?
I'm okay with that. It's within the ballpark of the appraisal value, and the essence or in the, spirit of trying to, expedite the appeal and get, settle it. I contacted the taxpayer with the purpose of settling at the board of review's value, but he did not answer my call.
Okay, let's hear from our appraiser, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, sir. George Wallace. I appraised the property on January 4th of 2023. There was an uncontested land value of $141,800, which is supported by the land sales that were in the report. I did a sales comparison approach and had a value of $925,000 and an income approach of $818,000. And the final correlated value was $840,000, which is $141,800 for the land and $698,200 for the improvements.
Do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move on docket number 22-22171-009 that we uphold the Board of Review setting land at $141,800, improvement $663,100 for a total fair market value of $804,900.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion's approved. Item C, appeal of Assessor Earl Williams and Orleans Parish Board of Review versus 3604 Tulane Avenue LLC, docket number 2222171-010. Taxpayer, come forward.
Good morning, Isaac Pinhoff.
I want to point out that this is actually an assessor appeal.
That's correct.
Mr. Alvarez, I'm gonna
Yes.
let the taxpayer go first.
Yes, sir, that's fine.
So in speaking with the city this morning, they were actually ready to dismiss the appeal. However, in reviewing the information, it appears that the tax value is still too high. So I'd still like to continue and discuss the current tax value.
Now by that, I think you mean, Russell, were you gonna withdraw the appeal?
Yes, sir.
Is it still your intention to withdraw the appeal?
It is our intention to withdraw the appeal. I did some calculations earlier and I do see that the taxpayer from the evidence he presented to me this morning has a point that the valuation would still be too high.
Well,
But-
then, so you're saying you may reconsider the withdrawal, and let's go ahead and hear it? I'm trying to figure out where we're going before we hear testimony.
Okay. Yeah, I have no issue with us, I guess, withdrawing our withdrawal.
Well, then, the hearing's already set and scheduled. Everybody's here, so let's go ahead and hear it.
Okay,
All right, we're gonna hear from the taxpayer first.
Sure.
Excuse me, no, I take that back. Actually, it's an assessor appeal, So we're gonna, hear from the assessor first.
Yes, sir. Our value for this property initially was $282,000. We had the property valued at, an average condition. It was, lowered by the board of review to 212,000, which is, slightly less than the taxpayer requested at the board review for 233. The tax commission staff appraisal came in at 400,000, which we thought would justify our initial valuation of 282,000. The taxpayer did provide me with an engineering report stating that there was damage to the property due to the hurricane. Showed me a contractor estimate for repair for the property, and was in the process of obtaining a picture showing that there's a trailer that they're doing business on outside. Our appraisers, not estimated, but assume that the property is still in commerce from field inspections on the outside. So I do think in light of that information, that our valuation, initial valuation is wrong, and that it should be lowered. I think a fair valuation, I'd have to revise what we submitted to the commission as far as our prayer to request a fair market, total fair market value of 196,600 and a building value of 14,100.
196,600 is the total value.
Yes, sir. Minus 14,100, 182,500 for the improvements, 14,100 for the land, for a total fair market value of 196,600. That roughly comes to be about $58 a square foot, which we think is a more accurate indicator of value considering the extent of damage that was documented by the taxpayer.
Okay, I'm hear from the taxpayer. Identify yourself for the record.
Sure, my name is Isaac Penhas. I'm the owner of the LLC that owns the building.
And Ms. Penhas, you go ahead.
Sure, so the building, per our engineering report, is a tear down. It's suffered extensive structural damages. Our contractor estimate to repair the building, if we didn't tear it down, exceeds the value of the building. So that's basically how we determine it's a tear down. And I don't think there's any argument from the city that it is a tear down after showing them the engineering report and the contractor's estimate. So I think the question is, what should be the value of the building for taxable purposes at the moment? And I think it needs to be even lower, frankly, because it needs to be torn down. So there's demo costs involved in that. And the building is just not operational or serviceable right now. It's just a shell.
It looks like, from our information that you originally requested a value of 233,000.
That's correct.
And the board of review came back at 212,000.
That is correct.
Now we have the assessor willing to reduce their value based on the information that you gave them to a total value of 196, which is significantly less than what you originally requested for. Are you okay with that number? Or are you pleading,
I'm pleading for a lower number, and let me explain why. So new information has come to light since my initial appeal with the city. So our engineering report from whatever time that was, 8 months ago, thereabouts, it's different from the engineering report at the beginning of the year. And that's because the damage was caused by a billboard structure on the roof of the property. The billboard structure was removed, which caused additional damages to the building. Once the pressure of the structure was released, the building was done, basically. So the new engineering report reveals that, so that it's new information.
and the, assessor's office has all of this information?
I believe so.
Russell, is this information timely received by your office?
So didn't receive any new information other than this morning, and, that's why we, decided to, offer the taxpayer a substantial reduction from where our initial value was. Our initial value was based on, an in-commerce building, and that this property, has been shown to be out of commerce. So that's why we offered it. I think that the taxpayer might be a little, not confused, but there is a building there, so there needs to be a building value. The value offered by the assessor's office on the revised amount comes out to $53 a square foot, which is basically a shell value. So I don't think that the assessor's office would be comfortable going any lower than what we just submitted to you. Like, there has to be a value because there's something there. And a gutted building is about $60 a square foot, and this is 53.
With that, we're gonna hear from our appraiser and,
Okay.
and we'll entertain questions. Mr. Matthews?
Yes, my name is Ricky Ball with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I did an appraisal of 3604 Tulane Avenue, and the sales approach came up to 411,000, and the income approach was 397,000. The land was undisputed, but we did a land analysis and it came up to 35,000 for the land. And the improvement was 365,000 for a total value of 400,000.
You actually inspected the property?
So I went out to the property, prior to going out to the property, I tried contacting the taxpayer, and I called twice. My call log was 126 and no answer, left a voicemail, and I didn't get a return call. And also on 1:30 in the morning, I called again and didn't get a call back. So I just passed by the property and did an exterior inspection of the property. So yes, I did go out to the property and inspect it, but it was just an exterior.
So you couldn't visibly inspect the interior of the property?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions?
May I make a clarification?
Yes.
The documents were emailed to the city. For whatever reason, they weren't received, but they were 30 days in advance per law.
And I want to, kind of bring something to your attention too, in case this comes up in the future. The assessor originally appealed the border review value, which brought us to today. So it was his appeal to withdraw. He chose not to withdraw it in good faith because new information was received. In light of that new information, he's got a value less than he would have obtained had he just simply withdrawn it. So I do think that shows good faith. And I'm looking maybe into the future that if this comes up again, that perhaps you file the appeal with all the proper information and updated information. And that the tax commission appraiser be allowed or the opportunity to go in and view the interior of the property.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair. Hopefully the building will be demoed by that time.
Okay. Do you have a demolition permit currently?
We don't. That's the next step. We're working.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move on docket number 22-22171-010, that the fair market value be set at the revised number given by the assessor setting land at 14,100. Improvements, 182,500, for a total fair market value of 196,600.
I have a motion. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion's approved. Okay, we're gonna drop down to, the last appeal, item I. Appeal D, E, F, G, and H. D has been continued. Items E, F, G, and H were withdrawn. Next appeal is the appeal of Mount Olivet versus the Assessor Earl Williams, Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 222217336. This is a taxpayer appeal, so we'll let the taxpayer go first.
All right, good morning. My name is Matthew Kovechka. The value issue at hand, which has been the same issue for each year, the past few years, has been the valuation of the unsold inventory at this location. It is a cemetery. The initial value by the assessor was set at $6,227,100. That consequently was actually the LTC appraised value and final value that was determined 3 years ago. That valuation set the unsold spaces at $23.11 per unsold space. We've carried that on consistently for the past number of years, and that's what we're asking for this year. We have a total of $11.99 unsold spaces at the location. We applied the same $23.11 per unsold space to that space count for a total market value of $2,770,889.
And a land value,
The land value was uncontested at $733,100. However, the $2.7 million that we're asking is inclusive of the land. The $23.11 that was determined 3 years ago also was inclusive of the land value at the time.
okay, Russell,
Yes, sir. So in the documentation that we provided to the commission, we are also using the 2311 times 1199 units, coming out to the 2,770,900. I think the main difference that our value has is that there's more than just crypts and niches on the property itself. There's actually a 2,311 square foot administration office building that's not accounted for in the calculations provided for by the taxpayer. So our differential is that $277,300 administration office plus the cost of the unsold crypts would put the value at $3,048,200.
Could you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. So the methodology employed by the taxpayer and the assessor are pretty much identical, with the unsold crypts being $2,770,900 plus the value of the 2,300 square foot administration office of $277,300 would be a total fair market value of $3,048,200. And then after that, you would subtract the land out of that. Trying to do the math right now. So it would be land at 733,100, buildings at 2,315,100 for a total fair market value of $3,048,200.
Russell, that's a little bit different than the information that your office submitted, so.
Yes, sir. The reasoning for that is, our calculation didn't include land. It included we didn't include land in the calculation, so that $3,048,000 should have been land inclusive, and it wasn't. Our appraiser made the mistake and added the land in a second time. And that's why our value is at $3,781,300. If that makes sense. We kind of double dipping on the land here by accident. I just noticed that this morning.
So your new numbers are what?
My new numbers are, 733,100 for land. Come on, phone. $2,315,100 for the buildings, for a total fair market value of $3,048,200. Which would be roughly, less than 5% from the commission's appraisal of the 3,179,100.
Just 1 minute.
My apologies to the commission. We should have caught that error on the land.
And the taxpayers' request was 2,770,889.
2,770,889. Yes, sir. I would like to say the administration office, I believe, is on a secondary parcel. It's not included on this real estate parcel. I don't have that parcel on hand because it's not under appeal.
Russell, you want to check your records, make sure it's not under another assessment number?
I'll have to, check into that. I don't have that information in front of me. I just have the information from our appraiser that there is, an administration office building that should be included with this.
And I'd like to point out in prior rulings, we have differentiated the land from the crypts, and, you know, that value has remained constant at 733,000.
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hear from our appraiser, unless there, y'all have any questions for each other?
No, sir.
Again, only if we can determine if the office building is on a separate parcel. My understanding it's not and should not be included in the valuation of this parcel.
Russell, you want to check on that?
I can
mean,
try and check on that. I just don't have that information in front of me. Let's see.
Let's go ahead and hear from our appraiser.
Patrick Matthew, Louisiana Tax Commission appraiser. Maybe I'll start from the beginning on this. This is an appraisal of an appeal that was done by a previous staff appraiser a few years ago. The taxpayer is correct. Initially, when the ruling was made, a whole property value per crypt was made of $2,311, which equated to the 6,227,100. I believe the next year there was now only 1,653 spaces, and that same 2311 was applied to that to reach last year's value. This year's value, that same methodology, I believe, is how the taxpayers value it. I did a cost approach, as did the previous appraiser, and basically valued each unsold crypt at $2,040, which equated to, 1 second. So it was 1,199 available crypts times $2,040 per crypt was an improvement value of 445,000. I'm sorry, one more time, $2,445,960. And then you add in the undisputed land value of 733,100 that equated to a total fair market value of 3,179,100. The administrative building was not in my valuation nor in either of the previous valuations. I think the reason the 2311 was used last time was carried forth, but it's actually slightly different. If you do use my methodology, the land never changes, right? But the number of crypts does. So it kind of actually increases the value per unit every year as the crypts go down. So therefore, when you apply my methodology of doing the cost approach, improvement only, then added in land, I arrive at 3,179,100.
So you're saying that the $2,040 does not include the value of the land?
No, ma'am, that is strictly Marshall and Swift, an average crypt. That was what was used for that valuation. $2,040 is just for the crypt alone. And then so that calculation came up to the 2,446,000 rounded for the improvement. And then you add in the undisputed land value of the 733,100, which equals 3,179,100. And if you divide that by the 1,199 crypts, it actually equals roughly $2,651 a crypt.
And really, with that methodology, the only difference between what the assessor did and what you did is the value given to each crypt of the $2,040.
Correct, which has been the value we've used for the crypt, really from that initial valuation back in, I guess that would have been a 2019 ruling. In my opinion, last year when it was ruled that 2311, the whole property value should have actually been slightly higher because the land value didn't change, but the number of crypts did. So if you use that methodology on the last hearing, it'd have been the 1653 crypts times 2,040 would have been 3,372,120 plus the 733,100 is 4,105,220. So if you divide that by last year's crypt number, that's 2,483 a crypt.
So what I hear you saying, being consistent with what we've done in the past brings us to the 3,179,000.
Correct. Or at least consistent with that initial ruling of valuing the number of crypts times that 2,040 and added in the undisputed land value. The only thing that's changed in my methodology since that initial ruling is the number of crypts.
I think the taxpayer may have a question.
Not a question. When the value was initially determined from 2019, it was set at 6,227,100. If you divide that by the available spaces at the time of 2,695, that comes in at the 2,311 per space. The same methodology was used last year. That was included in the information packet that I submitted. 2,311 per space at 1,653 spaces equal to 3,820,100. All we're asking for is the same methodology to be applied this year with 1,199 spaces left.
I think the only issue though is that there's no adjustments being made for any kind of economy of scale or scarcity. The more crypts you sell, the scarcer
Correct.
they are.
Right, and that's what my methodology does, Russell. It takes in, if you take that 733,100 and divide it by the number of crypts, as that number of crypts goes down, the land value per crypt goes up. So hence, that 2044 is always consistent with what the improvement value is valued at, but the value of the land per crypt goes actually up as the number of crypts goes down. So hence, that's how I came up with that. When you look at my number, it's, what did I say it was? We had 1199. Let's see, 317.
What's the average price that you sold a crypt at?
I don't have that information.
Is it greater than what the number we're using?
I do not know. Again, all we're asking for is to be consistent with what has historically been set at this location. Eventually, the parcel is going to have zero value because it's all going to be sold out in about 4 years.
I understand that, but the actual methodology that the appraiser is using, I think, is valid.
I'm not necessarily disputing what he's arguing. I'm asking for the 2311 per space that's been determined by both the commission for the past number of years be applied to this year's valuation. That's all we're asking for.
Well, the values stand on their own year to year, and they are subject to revaluation. Now, the difference between what the assessor has, offered, what you're asking for, and I mean, you don't have the information as to what you've sold them for?
I don't have the information of what these sell for, no. This is based on the cost approach, so we don't typically look at the income approach.
And how many are available?
1,199.
And if I called someone today to buy one, would they give me a price?
I'm sure they will.
Do we have any idea what that would be?
I do not, sir, no.
And I would think the value, my only point is I would think the value is greater. I definitely agree with their argument that as, you know, there are fewer crips, there is more value there. I'm not arguing with you either, and the commission members can weigh in on this, that what we've done in the past, of course, when we first heard it, I think the numbers were a lot more extreme. And we tried to, you know, come up with a valuation method so that we would not have to come back every year and do this.
That's correct. I would like that as well. And we're not disputing or arguing with the cost approach that was used to determine the valuation of the cemetery. We're asking for the same 2311 be applied this year that has been in the past. For based on historical information and consistency sake, sake. It's a unique property, so it creates difficulties when we value a cemetery.
I have a question. Was it determined, the value of the administrative building? Is that a separate,
An aerial view of the property determined that the administration building is on that parcel itself. It's one contiguous parcel, so there's no other parcel for it to be on.
I dispute that. There is another parcel. I know 99% there's another parcel. I don't have that parcel because it's not under appeal.
You get two tax notices, or you get a separate tax bill for the administrative building. And you're 100% certain of that.
I swore I'm under oath, so yes. It could be under SE Cemeteries in Louisiana, it could be under SEI, it could be under Service Corps International. Historically, that parcel has been valued at about $150,000 to $200,000.
Mr. Hoffman, are you checking that for us?
I didn't realize I was going to have to dispute that parcel today. Otherwise, I would have been prepared for that one.
Well, I think it's important in the information that Russell presented if he's valuing the building. And I'd like to clear up a couple of things myself. So what I'm gonna suggest, and I'm gonna, if everyone's in agreement, I'm gonna take this matter under advisement and we'll do some research on it to figure these things out. I would move on docket 2222173-036 that this matter be taken under advisement. Have a motion?
Correct.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion stands.
Right here. And I'm pretty sure that's under a separate parcel. No, I understand that aspect of it too, and I pulled up the same thing, but I know we have another parcel tied to this location in our system. If they did, that was news to us.
Are we still in that ruling, sir?
No, we're actually, we took it under advisement. We're moving on to item number J. However, I'm letting the taxpayer finish up.
May I add something? Is that allowed?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you look under, I'm on the assessor's website, parcel number 37W 4200715 for 4002 Norman Mayer Avenue is an improvement only assessed building value, improvement only assessment of 125,200. And it says that the land is assessed on bill number 37W 4200704, which is the subject. So it is on a separate bill and as an improvement only assessment. A commercial assessment. Assessment number 37W 4200715.
Okay, we've made a motion to take it under advisement. Thank you. We'll include that information in our ruling. Russell, perhaps you can check with your office to clear it up to make
Yes, sir.
sure that, if this is something that recently happened or has been there all along, then maybe you can get us that information before we make our ruling.
Yes, sir. I will make sure to do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's like a mobile home, not really.
Item J has been withdrawn.
Sorry.
Which brings us to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I move for adjournment.
I have a motion. Hearing no objection,
That's the sale part.
the meeting stands adjourned. The time is